Hi, I'm Katie and welcome to episode 19 of mydenmarktv.com. This week we're going to revisit the student theme of last week, and Liyuan is going back to college to see how students get their work done. She's also going to show you how to let off a little steam by going clubbing. And we're going to look at just why Danes seem to be so law-abiding. We're also going to look at just how Danes get around the city and the country itself. Did you know that the metro is driverless? The automatic train system whizzes around underground and overground, with trains arriving on average every 2 minutes. Doors are also automatic, so remember, you don't have to press any button to get off. And don't worry, the sensors will make sure that all coats and bags are clear of the doors before driving off. One of the first things many new arrivals want to know when they get here, either via cruise ship or at the airport, is just how do I find the city centre? Well, if you're like me and want to avoid taking an expensive taxi, the easiest thing to do is just hop on one of the inexpensive city centre buses or the metro. Just come prepared. Enter your arrival and destinations into web portal reiseplanen.dk. It's very simple. If you enter the word Kongens Nytorv or Rådhuspladsen, or if you're looking for the central station, Copenhagen's Hovedbanegården, then it should get you pretty easy to the city centre. One of the best things I like about Denmark is the size of the cities. Everything is big enough to keep you interested, but still small enough to get around by bike or on foot. I remember I had some colleagues come over from New York who wanted to know how many hours it would take to get to the meeting on the other side of town, and they thought I was crazy when I said it would only take 20 minutes by bike. Now, if you're going cross-country, the National Rail Service, DSB, is one of the public transport options. Now, while it is comfortable, fairly quick and usually on time, unfortunately the prices are quite steep. However, you can get cheaper discount orange tickets on their website dsb.dk. One of the better options I've found, especially if you don't already have a friend going your way, is to try carpooling. Both the websites gomore.dk and pendler.net offer a great service where you can sign up to be either a passenger or if you're looking to offer someone a lift while driving cross-country. And when, say, a trip from Funen to Copenhagen would only cost about 80 to 100 kroner, it really is quite a cheap option. But if you are going to use public transport, you're going to notice a peculiar trend. People here don't seem to break the law. Seriously. In many countries, the idea of a driverless public metro or busy train stations with lots of people coming and going would seem like an easy opportunity to cheat the system and ride without a ticket. But it just doesn't seem to be part of the Danish culture. Cyclists are generally very observant of traffic lights, and pedestrians too at crosswalks. But why is that? Are they just so well behaved and good little Danes because the law says so? Do you think Danes are so law-abiding?
I think it's the way we are raised, but the fine is very high.
Okay.
So it's about 500-600 kroners or something. So if they catch you, it's quite expensive. I think that might be one of the reasons.
Do many of them hop on the train without paying for their ticket, or?
I don't know. I would never do it. I think you would do it wherever. There's always someone who would do it. I don't think the Danes would buy a ticket unless they will. The prices will go up.
So there you have it. Danes, in equal measure, seem to think that they like to obey the law, but as you heard some people say, they're also a little bit afraid of those fines. And bear in mind, you can be charged up to 600 kroner in a fine if you're caught travelling on the metro or the S train or any of the trains without a ticket. So it may be worth buying that ticket when it only costs around 20 kroner. And I know especially students would want to avoid some of those really steep, heavy fines. But then again, they're also worried about some other things, such as what's the best way to get through their studies. So Liyuan's gone back out to college to check out just how students prefer to get their work done.
I am at Copenhagen Business School. Normally we just call it CBS. And you know, CBS is one of the famous and the best universities here in Denmark. In 2008, CBS ranked number 37 in European Business School ranking system. And CBS has around 15,000 students, which is actually quite a lot for a small country like Denmark. And CBS receives around 1,000 exchange students from all over the world. You know what? Let's go in and check it out. CBS focuses on preparing students for their work life. So the study environment here in CBS is actually a pretty good indication about what you can expect if you end up working here. You might remember in episode 14, I talked about the free choice in terms of the education system and the spirit of you are never too old to study. But now I want to tell you about group work. A project usually runs for a whole semester. Each group will have a supervisor to guide the project in the right direction. And there will be a lot of meetings, both with your supervisor and your group members. So what do you think about group work?
I actually find it quite enjoying as opposed to what I thought. I feared it would be kind of like yelling at each other and one person doing everything, but it's actually been quite enjoyable and I've been learning a lot from my group members so far.
I very much enjoy it. It's kind of different from sitting alone working, and you also get other people's opinion, as you can see here.
What are the challenges for group work?
Well, the challenges are basically, I'd say, the same as the benefits. We have different opinions and it's not always easy to agree. So sometimes you have to accept that you might not be right, or the other guy or girl has to accept that she might not be right and just go with one of the things. So far we haven't really had any of that, but I think that's the main issues.
The challenge is, of course, the differences between people. Anyone has their own personality, so at some points it can be hard in agreeing on stuff, even though you've got to write them down. So yeah, coming to terms sometimes can be very hard.
I'm standing near Copenhagen's main shopping street, Strøget. You know, there are a lot of nightclubs in this area, and it's full of fun during the weekend. You know, Copenhagen is actually a great place for experiencing Danish clubbing culture. But if you're coming to Jutland, you should definitely check out the street called Jomfru-Jengade near Aalborg. A lot of Danish people live in Copenhagen and travel all the way to Aalborg just to party there. Today, I want to give you some general tips of clubbing in Copenhagen. You know, it doesn't matter what kind of music you like. Salsa, jazz, pop, hip-hop, techno, Irish folk song, or even Norwegian death metal. Copenhagen definitely has a place for you. But it's a little bit of a jungle out there though, so consider to ask some locals about the good spots. But of course, you can always write to us. We would love to give you some good suggestions of a perfect place to party. Most places have very reasonable prices. For instance, 1.5 liter of beer costs around 20 to 50 krona. Cocktails cost around 50 to 200. Of course, it all depends on how fancy and how popular the place is. Most dance clubs only open during the weekends, and the party starts from midnight, go on until the early morning. But don't worry, almost all the clubs are open every day. And there is no strict dress code in Copenhagen. As long as you look good, you can always get in. And the queue is not very long compared to some other big cities. But be prepared to pay a small amount of entrance fee. It's usually less than 100 krona. And the legal drinking age in Denmark is 18. So it's a good idea to bring some ID or passport. So everyone, go have fun.
This week's question comes from our loyal viewer, Juan Sebastian, who wants to know if there's a stock market he can invest in while in Denmark. Well, Juan, the answer is yes. Over here we have the Copenhagen Stock Exchange, which was originally housed in the Børsen building behind me. The Danish stock market operates out of Copenhagen and forms part of the OMX network. Like anywhere else, if you're going to make an investment, it's a good idea to find out who to invest in and why. If you check out speculant.dk, you can find some great resources and even debate forums to find out who's who in the markets. Other resources you might want to try include business.dk, Børsen.dk, and euroinvestor.com, which give you a great idea of the health of the companies you want to invest in and who are the key players. For your own information, the C20 index is the top 20 leading Danish blue chips and is one of the most followed indices in the country. Now, there are a couple of tips you should be aware of before starting to invest. Number one, talk to your bank advisor because they know the lay of the land better than anyone. And also, if you don't have that much money to play with, you should be wary of investing borrowed money or starting to invest before you've paid off all your debts because the risk becomes substantially greater. Now, when paying tax on your investments, it will be included on your end of year report or your årsopgørelse. Now, as you may have figured out, the tax system in Denmark is pretty extensive, so it's worth checking out all the rules and regulations which you can get from the local tax authority, Skat. Now, I have to run because I have a train to catch, but I hope that's been helpful for you, Liyuan, and of course we're looking forward to more questions from everybody next week. That's it for this week, but join us again next week when we'll be looking at a very special section of Danish culture. Until then, feel free to check out our website, mydenmarktv.com, where you can share your favourite episode with your friends, subscribe to the show, or leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. For example, do you have any ideas on why Danes are so law-abiding? Or maybe you have a favourite nightclub you like to visit when in Denmark? Please let us know because we'd love to hear all your ideas. And of course, if you've any questions you'd like to ask us, we'll do our best to get to the bottom of them. Until next week, bye-bye. I'm off to catch the train. Train.
Ja.
Okay, cool. What do you think? You think they break the law?
Folk de bryder loven med at køre uden billet.
Good.